Donald Trump just had a psychotic meltdown on Air Force One late at night as he was heading back to Washington, D.C. from that awful Davos trip where he humiliated himself and the entire country. Donald Trump was asked about his rotting left hand while on Air Force One, the same way he has that rotting right hand. And he said, you know what? I just take so much aspirin that when I knock on things, my hand becomes discolored. Donald Trump also said that he would give the American people some more details about the deal that he wants to make with Greenland and Denmark in 2 weeks, he says. He just needs 2 weeks. And then he was asked, well, have you discussed this with Denmark? I need 2 weeks. What's the plan, Donald? Infinite. The plan is infinite. Donald, Vladimir Putin says he's joining your board of peace, and he wants to help you to help him unfreeze some of the Russian money that's been frozen because he invaded Ukraine, and he said he'll hand you the $1 billion if you unfreeze it, and then he'll join the board of peace with other authoritarians. You good with that? Yeah, I'm good with that, says Donald. Of course I'm good with that. Let's just take a look at what went down aboard Air Force One. So, just by the way, just take a look at how Donald Trump looked. Like, he looks so deeply sickly and unwell, and the facial expression, everything about him. So Donald Trump was asked by a reporter on Air Force One, so on Greenland, what are you doing here? You said there's concepts of a framework. Can you give us more details? Trump says, 2 weeks. That's with everything. 2 weeks, he says. Here, play this clip.
There's no way to live, yeah.
Back to Greenland. Can you elaborate more on we're trying to understand what exactly the concept is here. Is the U.S. going to actually take ownership of it?
We'll have something in 2 weeks. There's a good spirit to get something done, and we have to have a strong freedom. We have to have the ability to do exactly what we want to do. We have a great military. I built a great military. I did this in my first term. And continuation, big continuation. I think what we did with the defense companies was very important too, because we need things faster.
Well, hey, Donald, is Denmark, because Greenland's part of the Kingdom of Denmark, is Denmark on board with your concept? They know about this? Donald Trump says, I'll let you know in 2 weeks. I need 2 weeks. Here, play this clip.
Is Denmark on board with this concept?
I think everyone likes it. I think I'll let you know in about 2 weeks.
Have you spoken with Denmark about this plan?
Then a reporter asked Donald Trump, we noticed that your left hand was discolored and it looked bruised up the way your right hand was, although your left hand now looks worse than the way your right hand looked. And I know Caroline Levitt said the right hand looked that way because you shake a lot of hands. So what's up with the left hand, Donald? Watch this utterly deranged answer. Here, play this clip.
I clipped it on the table. So I put a little, what do they call it, cream on it. But I clipped it. I would say take aspirin if you like your heart, but don't take aspirin if you don't want to have a little bruising. If you take I take the big aspirin. And when you take the big aspirin, they tell you you're bruised. The doctor said, you don't have to take that, sir. You're very healthy. I said, I'm not taking any chances. So anyway, but then that's one of the side effects of taking aspirin. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
And then Donald Trump says, I don't like peace, he says. He goes, peace is so destructive. Peace is bad. Listen to what he says. Here, play this clip.
That's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't involved. I mean, it's so destructive for everybody when you have wars.
Can you tell us who your Fed pick is, sir? Can you tell us who your Fed?
Then a reporter asked Donald Trump about Vladimir Putin's statements that he was going to be joining Trump's board of peace, which is an axis of evil. Let's just be clear what it is. It is Donald Trump and like Belarus, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Russia, Qatar. It's just Donald Trump and a bunch of authoritarian regimes. No democracies are part of this. So Putin says he's joining, but he just needs a little bit of help because you see Russian money's frozen by the West because Russia invaded Ukraine. And so Putin said, I just need Donald Trump's help to unlock some of that money and I'll hand it over to him. And by the way, the money that for Donald Trump's board of peace, as he's calling, which is a board of war, it goes to a private account that Donald Trump controls for himself. Watch Donald Trump's response to this question. Here, play this clip.
President Putin has said that he may use frozen Russian assets to pay for his entry to the Board of Peace. Are you inclined to let him do that?
I don't know about that. I mean, I've heard that. Who said that?
President Putin.
It's very interesting. But he said he's going to use his money.
His frozen
If
assets.
he's using his money, I think that's fine. Yeah. You're talking about where he said this morning
Yes.
he's going to join the Board of Peace and he's going to make a contribution of $1 billion. Yeah, by using his money. I mean, if he's using his money, that's great. I think it's important to have everybody in.
Are you concerned about
As our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, says, it's not fine. This effing moron is once again playing into Putin's hands, giving away a bargaining chip on any peace deal and reigniting a furor with Europe, Ukraine, and even some Republicans in Congress if he tries this. All for what? So Trump can get his greedy hands on Russian blood money for himself? Just so you can hear for yourself what Putin said earlier in the day, that Russia will contribute $1 billion to Trump's board, but just needs some help on freezing that money, Donald. Here, play this clip.
I think that we could contribute $1 billion to the Board of Peace from the frozen assets assets frozen by the previous administration, and the remaining funds from the funds frozen in the United States could be used to rebuild territories that suffered during hostilities once we signed a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
Now, while all of this was going on, NATO's top general for Europe said that he never got any details at all about any purported deal with Greenland and Denmark. Also, Greenland and Denmark never got any information either, nor did NATO, because Donald Trump made up the whole thing. There is no deal with Greenland and Denmark. The whole thing is fake. And you'd be like, Ben, you mean like none of it's true? None of it's true. He made up a fake deal that he talked to no one about. He just social media posted it. And then the media was like, Donald Trump did a deal. He didn't do anything. There was no talks about it. Listen to the top NATO commander from Europe for yourself. Play this clip.
We had no discussion about that security framework. We found out about it when everyone else did when it hit the news yesterday. So there was, even though it's been reported elsewhere that we had some military discussion, that is not correct.
Or listen to the premier of Greenland for yourself. Play this clip.
First of all, nobody else than Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark have the mandate to make deals or agreements about Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark without us. That's not going to happen. In terms of the deal there's been talking about, I don't know what's concrete in that deal either.
And here the premier of Greenland, Jens Frederik Nielsen, explains that sovereignty is a red line. Play this clip.
As I said, we are ready to discuss a lot of things, and we are ready to negotiate a better partnership and so on. But sovereignty is a red line. Our integrity and our borders and international law is definitely a red line that we don't want anyone to cross, and I don't think that is strange at all.
Right now, going back to Donald Trump on that psychotic meltdown aboard Air Force One, one of the reporters asks him, so, is this Board of Peace, if you contribute $1 billion, is that just for Gaza or is it for something else? What's the money for? And Donald Trump really can't answer it. Play this clip.
It's going to be close to 100%. Yes. Can you tell us
Back to the Board of Peace, some of the countries are, I think the permanent members contributed $1 billion. What is that money supposed to be for Gaza?
Have already put up $1 billion. Some of the countries have already put up much more than that.
What's that money for?
That's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the value of peace. Peace is so destructive for everyone, even countries that aren't involved. I mean, it's so destructive for everybody when you have wars.
Can you tell us who you're...
Then the next question is, so do you envision being the chairman of the board even after you're out of office? And Donald Trump's like, yeah, I could be the chairman of the board for life. You know, I could do whatever I want to do. And so you're creating this fake peace board, which is actually a board filled with other authoritarians. Then Jared Kushner and others earlier in the day talked about their master plan for Gaza, is what they called it, their master plan for New Gaza, where they're going to demolish everything and build like Trump hotels there. Here's what Donald Trump said, though, about being chairman forever. Play this clip.
And an approval, some don't, most don't, but some do. They have, a legal requirement to get it approved.
Do you envision being chairman of the Board of Peace past your second term in office?
I have the right to be if I want. I'll decide. We'll see what happens. But they'd like me to be. It's in theory for life, but I'm not sure I want that. But it's going to do great work with Gaza and maybe other things. It could be beyond Gaza.
More questions from reporters asking Donald Trump. So, will U.S. have pockets of sovereignty in Greenland? What's the plan? And Trump's like, there'll be a lot of things. There's no details because he's making this up. Play this clip.
What are some of the elements of the Greenland concept that you can tell? There was
really a negotiation.
And then Donald Trump whines about Jamie Dimon, the CEO or the head of JP Morgan Chase, who Donald Trump sued yesterday for debanking him, Donald Trump said. And he goes, yeah, I sued him. I did a great lawsuit. I sued him for $5 billion. Just think about it. We have such a whiny loser president suing JP Morgan Chase for not wanting to bank with him after the insurrection. Anyway, here, play this clip.
He banked me. So we'll see if that means anything, but I think it should. You shouldn't be debanked. You get debanked if you don't have money or if you default and you have this great company, and all of a sudden I was told, no, you can't do that. It's so wrong. And so I don't know what their excuse would be. Maybe their excuse would be the regulators. I don't know. But regardless, I guess it's a good lawsuit because every pundit has come out and said Trump has a great lawsuit here. You're not allowed to do what they did. Jamie Dimon, what he did, he's not allowed to do that.
And this is so depraved. This was Jared Kushner's plan. He calls it the master plan of New Gaza. How despicable. Donald Trump then posts on social media, Dear Prime Minister Carney, please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding Canada's joining what will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't think Carney's really going to give a crap that he's not going to be on a board with Vladimir Putin, Lukashenko, Viktor Orban, Pakistan, and Qatar. I think he's all right. And then Donald Trump says, maybe we should have invoked Article 5 and sent NATO troops to our border. I've showed this clip in other videos that I did, so I'm not going to have to replay it. But Donald Trump said, what has NATO ever done for us? NATO hasn't done anything. They'll never be there for us. The only country that's invoked Article 5 is the United States, and NATO was there. Other countries, the UK, Denmark, France, Canada, they lost hundreds of soldiers fighting alongside the United States on the front lines. And Donald Trump just says, maybe we should have put NATO to the test, invoked Article 5, and forced NATO to come here and protect our southern border from further invasion of illegal immigrants, thus freeing up large number of Border Patrol agents for other tasks. So that's you're talking about invoking Article 5 to send NATO to invade the United States? That's what you're saying? And then you have state regime media, which calls itself Fox, just pushing Donald Trump's propaganda. You have Jesse Waters talking about building clubs, golf clubs in Gaza. Play this clip.
Later, and Jimmy with his teleprompter. The Trump Board of Peace already doing more than the UN. We're building golf clubs in Gaza. The only thing they'll be fighting over now is tea times.
And more from state regime media. Jesse Waters says Trump demoted the UN and created a board of peace, and all of his golf buddies run it. Play this clip.
When he was in Switzerland, not sure if you heard, he demoted the UN and created the Board of Peace and packed it with his golfing buddies.
And finally, yesterday, you have J.D. Vance. He went to Minnesota and he pretended like the reason that Border Patrol and ICE are really out here is because they're getting the sex offenders. Just tell us where the guy lives. Just tell us where the sex offender lives. Right there. 1600 Pennsylvania. That's where he lives. Here's what J.D. Vance said. Play this clip.
Specific types of cooperation that we need. Look, I don't need Tim Walz or Jacob Frey or anybody else to come out and say that they agree with J.D. Vance or Donald Trump on immigration. I just don't need that. What I do need them to do is empower their local officials to help our federal officials out in a way where this can be a little bit less chaotic and it can be a little bit more targeted. Like if we're trying to find a sex offender, tell us where the guy lives.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.